Yo, welcome back to another Brain Dead. I'm just driving right now, but I guess I wanted to do a follow-on to my last video where I was kind of talking about the economy, and I guess I laid out kind of my sentiment that I think that the recession has already kind of occurred. Whatever dip that we have in our productive ability as a society has already kind of happened, and it feels now that we're kind of moving back into being able to increase how much we can produce, at least from the low. Like, we're kind of moving back up. That's how it feels to me. Like, but in reality, it's like, who knows? The economy is this vastly like impossible thing to predict. Like, you have 1,001 economic predictions, you probably have 1,001 kind of like failed predictions also. So yeah, I think behavior shouldn't really be dictated a whole bunch on kind of like macroeconomic foresight, or because there's like 1,001 different flavors that like half of people think it's going one way, half of people think it's going the other way. Who knows? Like, the system just gets so complex. There's so many like different little things propagating through, and like one little wave here can affect a wave like on the other side of the economy, and like a month after, and like it's just, the complexity just becomes impossible to really even like make meaningful decisions around it. In general, I feel that the economy is kind of on this upswing. We are able to produce more things than we were last quarter, this quarter. So this quarter, I think we're producing more stuff than we did last quarter, and if that is the technical definition of like the end of a recession, I think it's kind of meaning that. But there's still like future events that can occur. Like, who knows if this like Donald Trump stuff like just ignites more like kind of like chaos in the world. Maybe there's like protests and stuff that'll like spark out, or like, yeah, so there's like, or maybe the Ukraine war, something else happens with that, or like maybe this food shortage thing happens that you kind of like hear inklings of, and like, so yeah, like future events could still like change the course of how much stuff we produce. But I guess like jarring no more kind of like hiccups, then I kind of think that we're back into the swing of doing more stuff again. But with all that said, I don't think, like, to the extent we're investors, that should be changing how we're behaving as an investor. Like, you want to own the most valuable things in this world, regardless of what the economy's doing. I get like at least that's my philosophy. There's 1,001 different philosophies on how to like invest, and like some people will try to like trade like, oh, markets are doing this or interest rates are doing this, that means you want to be in cash, or you want to be in I don't know, there's like some cyclical thing to the market, you want to be into value, or okay, now you want to go into durables, and now into commodities, and there's like some rotation type philosophy that people can operate on. And there'll be like traders that'll be like, okay, oh, it's below this moving average, and now it's below this moving average, I will buy, or it's above this moving average, so now I'm going to sell. And so there's like 1,000 different indicators that can like change your behavior, and maybe macroeconomic type things can like give you like a, I don't know, like higher ability of guessing what those indicators are going to do. But to me, it kind of feels like a crapshoot. I feel like you'll be maybe right half the time and wrong half the time, and so then it's kind of just like nets out, or maybe you end up being wrong more than half the time. And so I don't think like a ton of useful insight comes from trying to guess what the economy is going to do, but useful insight comes from trying to determine where value exists and try to own as much value you can for the least amount of dollars you can exchange for it. So buying the best stuff at the best prices that you can. And so then the goal should start being to trying to determine where value even exists and what is value, and kind of go down the philosophical trail of that type of like thinking. And I guess I listen to Howard Marks a lot, and I like his ideas. And but one thing that he said in a recent one of his memos, at least the podcast, I don't read the actual memo, so I don't know if this was, because sometimes he pulls from like a memo that he wrote like a long time ago. Yeah, if you don't know, Howard Marks is the head guy at Oaktree Capital, and for like decades now, like every month or week, I don't know the frequency, but he writes this memo where he just kind of will write on anything. Just usually it will be through the lens of investing and how to do it well, and just kind of pass on his wisdom in that regard. But then now it's a podcast form, and he kind of basically reads old past ones that he's written. And just a recent one on the podcast, he was kind of talking about how you kind of want to stick to a philosophy or strategy. I don't know the exact verbiage he used, and kind of stick with it. If you're trying to change it up depending on what the market's doing, like, you're not going to be an expert at any one of those. You're going to like kind of be just maybe average, and then have average results, and then you just start kind of like then just kind of converging onto the beta of the market. And then if you want to have like above average returns, you can't be an average investor in any regard. You have to be above average in some facet, and at least the way I'm trying to do it is be above average in determining what things are actually truly valuable in this world, and understanding what value even is. And so you can't like be hopping onto like different strategies depending on what's going on. You just have to be like and to me that one feels like the most fundamental, like something that's valuable in a recession should also be valuable in non-recession. It's valuable because it enables humans to do things that they previously wouldn't have been able to do without that thing existing. And that's what value is rooted in, is like what new enabling it gives humanity. And that's largely why I think Tesla is the most valuable company. Maybe not already, but if you're doing like this kind of cash flow and you're looking to the future and like what value that like a factory of the world's best engineers can like bring to this world, I think that thing's going to end up enabling humanity to a larger degree than anything else that currently exists. But that's besides the point of what I'm trying to talk about right now. But I'm just trying to say, like, just whatever the economy's going to do, it's going to do. You can't put a ton of like attention onto that. It's trying to get better and better at the thing that you are, the way that you're trying to play the game. And I'm trying to play the game by trying to figure out where value is and own those things. And so my attention, focus, and effort and time is all going still into that thing. And whatever attention and effort and whatever's I put into trying to predict where the economy is going is effort and time and whatever energy not going into becoming better at figuring out what value is. And I think that's kind of like an opportunity cost, and so I lose out on my advantage in this market every time I try to like do that. And like I think economics is like super useful like mental model to try to like harness and build. I've gained a ton of like I guess insight into value and being able to like critique and analyze a business just based on understanding economics better. But that's kind of like understanding economic principles and what makes like some system of like resource exchange and refinement better, and like kind of knowing those principles. And that's largely what an economy is, like a system of like production and exchange, and a company is just a mini economy. So like there's principles that still carry over, principles that carry into like what makes an economy strong can also make a company strong. And you have to be like economically feasible, and like so there's like overlap, but to the extent that you're trying to predict what this like the most outermost shell of the economy is, just becomes this too complex of a thing to even really get meaningful information from. And so I think as investors our behavior shouldn't change based on that. And I think there's a lot of just like kind of surface level thinkers and investors that do put a ton of attention into trying to think of what the next economic event will be, and then like how to kind of front run it, or like maybe they don't even front run it. The news hits and then they're like, oh, that means you put money here, and then well, if that information's already out and everyone's already doing it, then you didn't really have an edge. And so your edge comes from the developing like a skill set for like in 10 years I'll be better at understanding what value is than I currently am, and I'll be then probably have a higher amount of edge in the market of picking what the valuable things are. So I guess my ultimate conclusion of this video is just, I think philosophically we shouldn't change behavior based on kind of economic conditions. Like maybe if something is drastically impacting a business that you own, then maybe like the decision can come from it, like maybe at the point where we drill all the oil that exists on this earth, and maybe an oil company isn't a good thing to own anymore. It's not a completely absolute statement, but it's like a general principle. I think applying effort and energy into trying to understand the economy and what's happening in it, and trying to make decisions based on that is not as useful as trying to understand what things are valuable regardless of what the economy is doing. And so I guess, at least that's my take and flavor on it, and maybe someone finds it useful. But okay, that's this video. So yeah, comment and like, and what is the other thing, subscribe, and yeah, watch more of my videos, and I like when you do. So bye.